All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a brand new, scientifically validated model that was designed to solve some of the biggest challenges in online education. It's called the Hamdan model, and it's basically a clear playbook for making virtual classrooms actually work.
So let's dive right in. This question right here, it's something that became a massive deal for, well, pretty much every educator on the planet a few years back. It was never just about moving a class online, it was about figuring out how to make it engaging, effective, and, actually educational. That huge, sudden shift to e-learning during the pandemic, it was basically this giant, unplanned experiment, right? And teachers, they did an amazing job just rolling with it, but a lot of them felt like they were, building the plane while flying it. They really needed a proven, structured way to keep students from just zoning out.
So if you're going to solve a problem this big, you first have to know exactly what you're solving. It wasn't just one single thing making the transition so tough for teachers and for students. It was a whole mix of issues.
And when researchers really dug in, they found the core problems went way, way beyond just having a good internet connection. Think about it. There was no clear playbook for how to actually design an online class. A lot of teachers, through no fault of their own, didn't have strong digital skills yet. And the big one? Student engagement was just plummeting. The old way of doing things, a teacher talking at the front of the room, it just doesn't work through a screen. Something new was definitely needed. So that's where this new framework comes in. A researcher named Hamdan decided to tackle these problems head-on. The idea was to take a bunch of powerful, proven teaching strategies and combine them all into one simple, easy-to-follow recipe for a great online class.
Okay, so the first ingredient in this recipe, it's something called micro-learning. The idea here is simple. Instead of these long, hour-long lectures, you break everything down into tiny, bite-sized pieces. We're talking short videos, quick little readings, each one focusing on just one small goal. It just makes it so much easier for our brains to grab onto the information and actually remember it.
Next up, the model brings in flipped learning. And this is a real game changer for how class time is used. The idea is that students learn the new stuff on their own, before the live class. So when everyone gets together online, it's not for a lecture. Nope, it's for actually doing things, solving problems, having discussions, working together. It's active.
And this all sits on top of a really cool philosophical foundation. It's built on two big learning theories. First, you have constructivism, which basically says we learn by doing, by actively building our own understanding of the world. Then you add connectivism, which says we do that best when we're connected to other people, building knowledge together as a group.
So let's see how all those pieces fit together in the original model from back in 2020. It was a pretty clear sequence. Step 1, get all your students onto a platform, something like Google Classroom. Then you'd give them a small, focused task, maybe with a short video to watch. Then they'd go out and do their own research, search the internet, talk to their friends to figure it out. They'd submit their work, get some feedback from the teacher, and then finally, everyone would hop on a live call for a final wrap-up.
Okay, so it sounds good on paper, right? But any new idea is just, an idea until you really put it to the test. So how in the world do you prove that a new way of teaching is actually better? How do you know if teachers will even want to use it? Well, to figure that out, the researchers turned to a classic theory called Rogers' diffusion of innovations. Now that sounds complicated, but you can basically think of it as a checklist for any successful new idea. It gives you a way to measure the key things that determine whether an innovation, like this teaching model, is actually going to catch on. And what's really cool is how you can boil this theory down to 5 simple common-sense questions. First, is it actually better than what we're doing now? That's relative advantage. Second, does it fit with how we already work and what we value? That's compatibility. Third, is it easy to understand and use? Is it not too complex? Fourth, can we try it out on a small scale first? Trialability. And last, can you actually see the results? Are they obvious? That's observability. So to get answers to those questions, they put the model in front of a whole bunch of people. We're talking 132 participants. And this wasn't just a small group of folks. It was a mix of teachers, school supervisors, and even international experts from more than a dozen different countries. A real solid test group.
And you know what? The experts were pretty impressed. For example, John Bergman, he's basically one of the pioneers of the whole flipped learning movement. He saw the potential immediately. He pointed out how logical it was, how the step-by-step approach could be a huge help for teachers.
All right, so the experts liked it. But what about the people on the front lines? What did the teachers who actually used it have to say? Well, let's just say the model got a glowing report card.
The hard data, the numbers, they were just overwhelmingly positive. When you look at that 5-point checklist we talked about, teachers rated the model as high or very high on pretty much everything. They said it was a clear improvement, it was easy to get started with, and they could try it out without a huge commitment. I mean, that's a huge win.
But here's the really crucial part. The researchers sliced the data every which way. They looked at gender, years of experience, even the teacher's location. And you know what they found? Nothing. No significant difference. It didn't matter if you were a new teacher or a 20-year veteran in one country or another, the model just worked. That showed it had incredibly broad appeal.
But this is what's so great. The model didn't just pass the test and call it a day. It got even better. Based on all that fantastic feedback from teachers and experts, it evolved. For example, instead of just vaguely telling students to use the internet, the final version really focuses on structured collaboration with their peers. And it added a brand new first step, actually analyzing your students' needs before you even start. And this is it, the final, validated 2024 version. You can see it's much more refined. It's a clean, repeatable loop. You start by analyzing your students and the content. You assign a microtask. You get them collaborating. You give feedback. You have a live meeting to tie it all together, and then you do it again for the next topic. It's a cycle of continuous learning.
So, okay, we've got this cool new model. But in the huge world of education technology, why does this one thing matter so much? What's the big takeaway here?
This is the why it matters part. The Hamdan model isn't just another idea from an academic paper. It is a practical, validated, real-world tool. It provides a blueprint for teachers to make learning active and centered on the student, not the lecturer. And in the process, it helps build better digital skills for everyone involved, teachers and students alike. It's a clear, repeatable playbook for quality.
And that really leaves us with one big question to chew on. As education keeps blending the physical and digital worlds, could a structured, proven blueprint like the Hamdan model be the new standard? Could this be what ensures every student gets a quality education no matter where or how they're learning?